Don't think a lot of people have those conversations. So you are listening and tuned in to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. Thank you guys for tuning in today. We are the #1 conservative talk show in all of New York State. Let's make it all of the nation. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell them to tune in every week, 2:30 to 4 p.m. right here on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio, or on my YouTube channel, the Marcus C. Williams channel. You will find us, and we are having the conversations in your ear that you need to hear. Conversations that we have here might not be anywhere, so take 2 seconds, and if you're watching us online, share this out, get this out so more people can take part in this conversation. So, as we have this conversation today, it's all about encouraging people to get out and vote, right? People have to vote, because if you don't vote, I don't know who's going to vote, but if they're not you, they're probably not necessarily going to vote for what you believe or what you want. And I know some people are like, oh, well, my vote doesn't matter, or whatever the case is. That's bogus. Don't let anybody get into your brain and tell you that your vote doesn't matter. Your vote does matter. I know somebody who lost a campaign a couple of years ago off of like 36, I think it was 32 or 36 votes. Like, and there are way more people in the district than that are like, oh, well, I don't vote because my vote doesn't matter. Well, 36 of y'all could have got together and voted for this dude. He would have won. As a matter of fact, he did lose. He did win election night, and then he ended up losing when they got 36 mail-in ballots, which apparently none of them were for him. I mean, statistically, what is that math? That math don't math right. You know what I'm saying? But these are the important conversations that we need to have when it comes down to being frank and how important voter participation is. So if we're going to talk about voter participation, hit like and share and get this message out there real quick. If we're going to talk about voter participation, how are we going to get more action taken in our communities, in our state, or in our nation if our registered voters are not out there and getting active? If it's up to me, it's up to you. We have to get active now more than ever. And it's not just about going out and voting. It's about when people get in office, we have to hold them accountable. You know, my favorite amendment in the Constitution is the First Amendment, because it gives us the right to redress our grievances with our government, you know, and that's part of the issue. Too many people are like, oh, well, I'll go vote, and then they don't hold their elected officials accountable. I just came earlier from a press conference that was being done at the Waterhaven, or I don't even remember what the name is of this place anymore. But it used to be Sherwin's nursing home. And we were out there doing a press conference because of all of the crazy, squalorly conditions that the elders are going through, the ridiculous overworking of the staff, and all types of other stuff. Now, 3 years ago, we had a assembly person, Harry Bronson. Now, remember, those seats are every 2 years. But we had an assembly person, Harry Bronson, who said something about that 3 years ago. So not only was it in a previous time you were in office, you got reelected since then, and it's still the same, and nothing has changed. So the question is where is the accountability? Where is the accountability at all? So there's no accountability for these elected officials. They say that they speak for us. They say that they're going to speak up for us, and then they're in office and nothing happens. He's been in office way longer than that. I don't know how long he's been in office, like 20 years, something like that, maybe. I don't know. The seat has 2-year terms. But anyway, he's been in there a long time. And this issue at this nursing home has been there for more than 20 years. So, I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing? 3 years, and it's still a problem since you spoke on it. Like, what are you doing? And this is what I try to tell people. You must hold these elected officials accountable when they get in office or when they are in office. It is not just on election day. Don't let somebody play in your face and say, oh, well, the time to hold somebody electable is at the polling place. It is, but it's also when they're in office. That's why the First Amendment says redress your grievances with your government. That is a protected right. That is a God-given right. And if you're not exercising it, nobody else is going to fight for you. Hello? Are y'all listening? Let me tap on this mic and make sure that it's getting out there to the people, because I need y'all to wake up. And these are the important conversations we need to have. If you're watching us online, hit the like button, hit the heart button. In the comments right now, take 2 seconds and drop an American flag. Help the algorithm get it out to more people. Take 2 seconds right now if you're watching us online and drop the American flag. You are here listening to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. As we get into this serious conversation about accountability for our elected officials, we have to look at it very clearly and plain on its face. You have a local person, and then you probably have a mayor or a supervisor, depending on where you live and how densely your population is. So you usually have some sort of town council, city council, maybe you don't, maybe you live really rural and it's just a county ledge and a county executive or something like that. Okay, but those are your local closest people to you. Then it goes up to the state level, to the state reps, and usually each state has a state house of some kind. And whether they call them a house rep or whether they call them, where I am, an assembly person, okay, those are your areas. Okay, in New York State, each state assembly person covers about 130,000 people. Then you go up to the state senate. I'm not sure what the total number is that the state senate covers. I don't remember whether it's like 500,000 people or 750,000, something like that. So, but you get a state rep, and then that's your state senator. Okay. So those are the people that impact you the most. You know, everybody gets really distracted with the federal level, okay, which is Congress. And you got the House of Representatives, and then you got the Senate on the U.S. Federal Senate also. Okay. Both of those are important seats. Both of those have a lot of importance when it comes to federal fund allocation and federal laws. But where most of us are impacted and done dirty and have issues with our everyday problems, that's our local stuff. That's either local or state. So we have to be very attentive to what's going on where we live. Okay? Because if not us, if we're not attentive, nobody else is going to be. So I encourage you guys, get active, get involved, hold these people accountable. Don't let them just spit nonsense in your ear and just drip it and tell it like you want to hear it. You know, what do they say? Don't let them pour sugar in your ear. You know, don't let them do that. Don't let them do that and then get into office or already be in office and never address your issues. Now, I do recognize, and we go through this on the show all the time, what the different levels of government do and what the different representatives do, because that's part of civics education. And I teach civics education. I believe it's very important. And because it's been lost in our school system and our education system on any type of a legitimate scale in most states, that we don't have an informed electorate. Those are the people that can vote. And because we don't have an informed electorate, we get a whole bunch of crappy decisions that are made all the time, and people that don't know how the government works. And it's all intentional, because who's in control of the schools? The government is in control of the schools. Listen, you guys, the government is not your friend. The government is nothing more than a bodiless, mindless behemoth that completely functions on one thing: consume and take, consume and take. That is why we have the Bill of Rights. That is why we have the elections set up the way that we do, because we are supposed to rein in the government. Okay. Maybe I'm an anti-federalist. Okay. Maybe I'm not a big government person. Maybe I want more states' rights. Maybe I want you to have more individual freedoms. All of those things are true. But the fact of the matter is, you as an individual are an individual sovereign. You should be able to chart your own destiny. In America, we have like, I don't know what you call it. I do know. I do know. It's just slipping my mind, but it's like a collective type of sovereignty. Like we call it the will of the people, right? The collective governance. So that's what we call it, and we term it, because we as the people, that's why it says we the people, we the people are supposed to actually hold our government accountable. The government has no ability to hold itself accountable. I mean, let's be honest. Let's look at government. Let's look at all the different types of levels. In New York, where I live, the state assembly and the state senate are the only ones who can hold themselves accountable. Other than that, they can do what they want and get away with murder, almost literally, not even figuratively. I wish it was. Like they can do whatever they want, and the only people that can do anything about it is their own people. And they vote on their own raises. Make it make sense to me. They vote on their own raises. Listen, I'd only expect them to vote yes on a raise for themselves every time they see it. And what do? They vote yes every time that they see it. Did they bring it to the people and workshop it with the people? Was it a proposition on the ballot? No. They unilaterally decided that. But they're supposed to represent you. Can somebody make it make sense? These are problems, So right now, they'll distract you at the federal level, right? But the federal level doesn't have a lot to do with your everyday life. And I really want to get into some stuff going on the federal level. So we're going to switch gears a little bit. But before we do, I want to remind you, get out and go vote. And if you're watching online, share this video. It doesn't cost you nothing to retweet. Drop a heart or an American flag emoji in the comments. Do it right now. Take 2 seconds. Drop a heart and an American flag emoji in the comments. Let the algorithm know that you're watching. Let it know to get it out to more people. So let's go on to the federal government right now. And this ridiculous shutdown, you guys. Oh man, this shutdown. So we've got this shutdown going on right now. And it's to do with the Democrats, right? The Democrats are the minority right now. So they're the ones holding it up. Okay, they're the ones holding it up. The continuing resolution that's on the table right now will extend the actual government, I guess you'd say, billing cycle. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll get money and it's an extension of the budget, which isn't even a budget because we don't have a complete budget. They've just been doing extension on extension on extension. And now we've gotten under a new president and they're still doing extensions because they never did a budget under Biden. I don't know if we had a full budget the whole time he was in office, maybe, but we've had so many continuing resolutions. I'm not even able to remember, like, did we? Drop a comment if if we did, like that's an interesting and good question. But the point is that we do these continuing resolutions a lot, far too much and far too often. And the problem with that is very simple. If we are the strongest nation in the world and we don't even have a fully functional budget, what are we doing? Right now, people are concerned about their SNAP benefits getting cut off. I understand. SNAP, you guys, if you don't know what SNAP is, it's where the food monies come from. So food stamps, it's part of the agriculture bill, but that's a larger conversation. But a lot of people's SNAP may be impacted because the government shutdown may continue. Now, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, Hakeem in the House of Representatives and Schumer in the Senate, who is actually my rep for my state, which is ridiculous. He's terrible. But the fact of the matter is that they're like, we're not doing anything on this budget until they allow illegal aliens to get healthcare. What are you talking about, bro? Now, let's have a real conversation, and I'm going to get real close to the mic because I think that this is important. Let's be real serious for a moment. What we are facing right now with this government shutdown is completely on the heads of the Democrats because the continuing resolution was a clean CR. And if you guys know, I'm not a fan of CRs. I'm not a fan of continuing resolutions. I want a whole actual budget for our nation. But the fact is that they decided that because they didn't like what happened with the big, beautiful bill and it cuts now funding for illegal aliens when it comes to Medicaid and stuff like that. Medicaid, I believe also Medicare as well. Now they're mad. Now they're mad. All of a sudden, now you're mad, okay? Because they're trying to use this as a get back, but really they're hurting the American citizens. They're hurting all of those government workers that they say that they care about so much. They're hurting all of the unions that they claim that they care so much about. So if you're in a union or you're a government worker, the Democrats are completely against you and they're showing you to your face. And they say that the shutdown will continue until their demands are met. Well, are their demands your demands? Do you want illegal aliens to get Medicaid or Medicare? And better yet, do you even care about that right now? Or would you want them to keep the government open so that you can continue to get your government paycheck, or that you can continue to work your job, or that our military can continue to get paid? You understand what I'm saying? Like, where is the level of priorities for that? Like, can we have that serious conversation? And that's something that we need to have a serious, real conversation about. Right now, in the federal government, we have the Democrats preventing a continuing resolution that doesn't have any pork barrel spending, that doesn't have anything crazy attached to it, any additional riders or anything. They're trying to hold that up so government workers stay out of work because they're mad about something that happened with a big, beautiful bill months ago. Now they'll tell you, oh, well, what's happening is that they're making it so the Medicaid is getting attacked by the Republicans. First of all, no, that's not what's happening. That's already, if you want to say, has been determined what's going to happen with it in the big, beautiful bill. And they added some work requirements and they kicked illegal aliens off of it. And now you're mad that illegal aliens aren't being used to funnel the money around in the system, which you're getting kickbacks from all of these big medical providers and big pharma, right? Like, didn't the Democrats supposed to used to be against big pharma and big medicine and stuff like that, right? They used to be. What happened? Now they're all collaborators and cooperators with them. They're all in their pocket more than most of the government is in the pocket of AIPAC. Let's be real and let's be honest right now. Can we have a serious conversation? No. The medical lobby is one of the biggest lobbies in the nation. Do you know that the government cannot negotiate pricing for the majority of the services that are paid? Like, can we have that conversation? Do you know that we have the, what is it? Is it Medicaid or is it Medicare? I believe it's Medicare if I'm switching the words around. Don't hold me to that. But it's the reimbursement act that they have, the coupon act that they have, where essentially it encourages the people that provide the drugs and services and stuff like that to jack up the price really, really high. And then the government will subsidize the price and it'll give it to less to the people. But the government has to pay that money back to the company, and the company has to pay that money back to the government. But the money never really gets to the government. But the money isn't really getting to the government because it's more like a rebate. So the government never gets the money, but the people that keep the money the whole time are the medical providers. Like, can we have the people, the pharmacology people, okay, the people that are doing the surgeries and stuff like that, building the machines and stuff like that, and all of this stuff. Like, those are the people with the money. The hospitals, okay, like the care units, okay, might have some suffering from lack of people that are actually there, because remember, they fired all of the doctors and the nurses during COVID, and people are going to act like we just didn't have that happen. Like, that never happened. We don't know why things are so bad, because they fired everybody during COVID. Hello? Y'all forgot about that. The nurses and the doctors and other healthcare professionals didn't want to take those, them shots, okay? And then they just all got fired and terminated. I remember I was out there protesting, standing alongside of the doctors and nurses. Where were you? Did you speak up then? Well, this is part of the reason why we're in the situation we are now. Because ever since the Affordable Health Care Act has been put in place, the Democrats have continually done everything purposefully to disservice us. You know who's heavily invested in a lot of these medical companies and a lot of these pharmacology companies? Guess who? The Democrats, the same people who pushed for this affordable health care, not to mention the lobbyists. Hello? They got their cousins and daughters and nieces and nephews all working in these large corporations that make medical gear and that make all types of medicine and pills and stuff like that, RX drugs. Like, can we not have that conversation? People out here sitting on boards and stuff like that, getting all these kickbacks. Can we not have that conversation? And then people wonder why everything is so topsy-turvy and crazy all around. It's crazy all around because the medical industrial complex is one of the largest saboteurs of the American public. And the Affordable Care Act, okay, has always been put in intentionally incorrectly to disservice the community and disservice our people. Let's be honest. You know, they're like, oh, all of the subsidies are going away and it's because of the Republicans. No, it's not. The Democrats are the ones who set the expiration date. They knew what they were doing. They set the expiration date purposefully so that they could have a case to possibly shut down the government if it was under a Republican administration, because the Republicans wouldn't go for that, because all of that money is getting pumped right back into the medical industrial complex, which is poisoning and killing off our society and our people, because it is much better for them to keep you sick because they can make more money off of you than it is for them to actually heal you. Hello? Can we have a real conversation? Please, let's have a real conversation. Drop a comment, drop a thumbs up, drop a heart, hit a like button, drop an American flag and a heart in the comments. Let the algorithm know that you're out there. I see you guys watching. It's more people watching than I see likes and hearts on the page. Drop those real quick in the comments. And if you want to be part of the conversation, drop a comment and I'll pop it up on screen. So, as we go along this conversation about the medical industrial complex, understand all of this has been sabotaged by the Democrats in Congress. You know, all of it has been done intentionally. They're like, oh, it's the Republicans, it's the Republicans. Wait a second, pause. Okay, let's see. Let's examine this concept. It was the Republicans. Okay, who put the end date for the subsidies into the bill? Oh, that was the Democrats. Okay, so therefore, it is your fault for not doing that the first time and either making those subsidies permanent or giving them some sort of a tiered, what do you call it? A tiered, not roll back, but it's a word when it starts to go down a little bit, but it doesn't matter. But what's happening right now is we're seeing it as a complete and full stop of a lot of the subsidies. Who's mad over those subsidies being cut? They'll say, oh, well, it's going to cause medical prices to go up. Okay, maybe. But I'm still young enough to remember when people were talking about the fact that we didn't have that. You know, like Obama wasn't president forever ago. Like that just happened. The Affordable Healthcare Act just passed not too many years ago. You know, like in my lifetime. Like, but they don't have anything structured for single payer. And why is single payer not make any sense? Why do all of these things not make any sense? Why is even government medical not making any sense anymore? And it's very simple when you start asking the right questions. It doesn't make any sense because not the military industrial complex, but the medical industrial complex, which for me is even worse than the military industrial complex, because they're purposefully poisoning the people to keep them sick, but they're making it so that they can make money hand over fist off the people. It's hand over hand over hand over fist. Like, what is going on? And what's happening? It's you trying to stand up and push back, and they're just covering you up like nothing ever happened. You know, just wipe it away like nothing happened. Wipe it away like people aren't complaining about the cost of medical insurance. Wait, you mean people are complaining about the cost of medical insurance? But I thought it was supposed to be the Affordable Health Care Act. Why does the prices keep going up so high? Can we have that conversation? Nobody ever wants to have that conversation, because who do you blame that on? Do you blame it on Democrats? Do you blame it on Republicans? Or do you actually hold the medical people accountable for what's going on? And I'm not talking about like the doctors, or which is a whole separate conversation, right? like the drugs that they're incentivized to push, like how in New York State, people were getting money and kickbacks for pushing those shots on people, but we can't talk about that, right? Can't talk about that. So these are the important conversations we need to have. Drop a comment, hit the like button, hit the share, get this message out there, and let's have a more comprehensive conversation. So as we talk about this, and we start to ask the serious questions like, well, okay, if this is what's going on right now with healthcare and healthcare is no longer affordable, why is that? Why does it keep going up and up and up and up? And why does the government need to fight for more subsidies to subsidize these large mega corporations? You understand what I'm saying? You're talking about, what do you call it? Is it Aetna? What's the other one? United Health. The other one, Blue Cross Blue Shield. All of these medical companies, they're billions and billions of dollars. You know, people got all happy when they killed the United Health CEO. Was it United Health? I believe it was United Health. If it wasn't United Health, drop it in the comments. But when that guy, they said Luigi killed him. I don't think Luigi killed him. That's a whole separate conversation. I think we did an episode on that before. But when that guy was murdered, he was trying to actually disclose that there was stuff going on inside the corporation, which was being pushed by private equity like BlackRock, because they wanted them to deny more claims. Now, if anybody has any experience with insurance, you already know they denied tons of claims. But at the time, they were authorizing way more claims than what the, what do you call them? Industrialized investors actually wanted. Can we have that conversation? No, of course not. We can't have that conversation because it would be too much like right. When you start talking about the medical industrial complex and all of these kickbacks that keep coming out over and over and over again, whenever you hear a subsidy is happening, it's probably tied to some kickbacks. Okay, we're probably being fleeced. If you hear the government talk about a subsidy, just understand somehow they're probably skinning us. Just be assured of that. You know, a government subsidy is nothing more than robbing wealth from the individuals in our country through taxation. And taxation is theft. Full stop. That's a whole separate conversation. We talk about that frequently. But the fact of the matter is, if the Affordable Health Care Act was supposed to make healthcare affordable, but premiums keep going up and up and up, and claims keep getting denied, what exactly is it that the Affordable Health Care Act did? Except make things more expensive and get rid of single-payer healthcare and get rid of private insurance organizations that were helping out individuals. I mean, you look at it now and you hear Blue Cross Blue Shield and all of these other MVP and all of these other healthcare providers are pulling away from the Affordable Care Act, and they're like, well, we're not going to provide service in New York State, or we're only going to have one plan where, you know, if you bang your toe into the wall, as long as it's not broken, bleeding, or whatever, we'll cover it if you pay us $10,000. What even are we doing? What even are we doing? It was supposed to be affordable, and now nothing is affordable. You make it make sense to me. That's why we have to be very particular when we look at how these people name things, because it's almost always a lie. Almost every single time. And I want to point this out because this is very important. It's not just the medical that the Democrats are talking about right now. It's the SNAP benefits. Now, if you know anything about SNAP benefits and welfare, there are more white people on welfare than there are blacks. Okay? There are also more red states heavily dependent on welfare and welfare and food stamps than there are blue states. Okay? But you also look at the cost runs in blue states, and the cost runs are much, much higher. The majority of blue states have much higher food prices than they do in other red states. So can we have that conversation? Maybe we need to talk about policy when it comes to food policy, when it comes to agricultural policy. What you're doing here in New York, especially to our local farmers, especially the meat farmers, where they're making it so that they can only have so many cows and cattle and all of this nonsense. When they're making it so now you have to tag all of the animals and do all of this and that was actually I believe, federal legislation under Biden, not the state, but the state has their own thing similar to that. But you got all of these extra things that you have to do, and you can't even have as many animals as you could before. So now meat costs more. Who did that? The Democrats in New York State did that. The Democrats in New York State did that. They did it. They're the reason why your food is more expensive. People are like, oh, the tariffs. I eat beef. What do you mean? The tariffs. Why are the tariffs affecting my beef costs? When I go out a mile outside of town and I see the beef in the middle of the field, make me want to go run and jump and go eat it. You know what I'm saying? Like, are we being serious? We have beef cattle right here in New York State, in Monroe County, multiple farms. Why are my meat prices so expensive? Don't play in my face, you know what I'm saying? What do they say? Don't take a piss and tell me it's raining. Don't tell me my meat prices are high because of tariffs. Bogus. Okay? It's absolutely bogus. Why am I not getting the cows that are here in New York State, in Monroe County? If the cow lives up the street from my house, why am I not able to eat that cow? What's up with the meat packing industry in New York State? Can we have those conversations? No. The meat packing industry, the agricultural industry have been savaged by the Democrats in New York State Assembly and the New York State Senate. Governor Cathy and Governor Cuomo went right along with them, and they continue to go along with them. And it's the people that suffer the most. And people are like, oh, the cost of food is going up. The cost of food is going up. Yeah, because these people behind your back that tell you that they're looking out for you, these Democrats are doing everything that they can to make it more difficult for farmers and herders and ranchers to actually produce food. Boom, bang, bing. You know? Then you got the next question. If I go to the store and I go to buy apples, we're New York State. We're one of the most apple producing states in the world. Okay. And when I say state, I mean both as a country and as a state, like in the United States, a territory type of situation, like a province type of situation. Okay. I mean, both ways. There are countries that don't produce as many apples as we do in New York State. Can we be real for a second? But I go to Wegmans even, and on the bottle of my my apple juice, it says Baileys. Where the heck is a Baileys? Okay, Baileys like the alcoholic beverage from Ireland? No, Baileys like Central America. Why are my apples coming from Central America when I can go a mile outside of my town and it's a whole apple orchard? What is going on? And again, this has to do a lot with farming subsidies and them trying to jerry-rig the pricing. Do you know that every month there are farmers that have to actually release thousands and thousands of gallons of milk, just let it go into the ground? Yeah, they have to do that in order to artificially keep the prices where they are. Otherwise, the prices will go too low. At least that's what the government tells you. Why can't I have that milk? You know what I'm saying? I'd go over to the farm like, yo, listen, I know you about to pour this all down the drain. Let me just put a bottle over here. You know what I'm saying? I don't drink milk like that, but, you know, I'm surprised organized crime hasn't gotten into that racket. Knock on wood. Because if they're going to dump out all of the stuff anyway, I mean, shoot, somebody could sell it. You know, I mean, I guess the practicality would be the logistics of selling it on a black market. That would be interesting. But these are the conversations we need to have. Why is a lot of the stuff that we produce here not what is in the stores in our area? Again, a lot of it has to go with government subsidies on the federal level. We get the largest beef producer in the world is JBS, which is a Brazilian company, which I believe is now owned by the Chinese largely, maybe even wholly. You know, the biggest pork producer in the United States is owned by China. What are we really doing? What are we really doing? And that's separate from JBS. It's just another, what is it, Westfield or something Field is the name of the largest uh, pork provider. If you know what it is, drop it in the comments. But yeah, so it's owned by China too. All of our food is owned by foreigners. Like foreign countries don't even live here, foreigners. What are we doing, you guys? We have to focus local. And here's something for you guys with my city council campaign. A lot of people have been talking about they want guaranteed basic income. Where's the money going to come from for that? Right? Like if we're going to do a project that we're saying is going to actually make people's lives better and save them some money, where's the money going to come from to do that? Taxes are already high. You can't do that. I mean, you could, but it's going to cost us more money. They're going to have to raise the taxes. So here's one of my solutions that's not just practical, it's also tangible, and it's also fiscally responsible. One of my simple solutions is this. We need to create a trust type of situation, like a financial trust, and the city can bulk buy local beef and possibly even chickens in Monroe County. And the city can bulk buy them, and that way we can get it a lot cheaper, and we can save the average family somewhere between $5,000 to $1,000 and maybe even $2,000 a year in food costs if we just do beef. Okay? Like this is a real solution. I'm gonna say it again because it warrants saying again. Food costs a lot of money. You go to the supermarket, the bills are outrageous. We can actually lower the cost of food, especially meat, particularly beef and poultry, right here in our city by using collective buying power. We've got all this money for all of these homeless projects. We got all this money talking about we're going to use it for basic income. And we got all this money saying all of these things. Instead of doing things that are practical, here is a practical solution. Let's use the power of the money that we have to actually buy in bulk beef. And here's how that will work. The government doesn't even have to, the city council doesn't even have to pay for it, or we can put money towards it and then get the money back. You understand? So what we do is we put together a project, we open up a trust, and people can put money into the trust. Okay? They can put money into the trust for the food. Okay? And you put X amount of money, it's like values in shares, right? So X amount of money equals X values of shares. Okay, X pounds of meat, or however you want to work it out. We can work out the logistics of it, right? But it's the collective buying power of that trust that can lower the prices, because now you can buy, instead of you buying, going to Wegmans every couple of months and buying a little bit, the city can buy whole meat, whole cows, whole herds, okay? And then everybody can come pick it up, like a farmer's market. You understand? I like to go to the farmer's market, and they got these beef herders there. And I love getting their meat and stuff like that, pause. But I like to go out there, and they're like, yeah, this is how much it costs. This is what it is. You can buy it right from us. Well, I'd rather do that than to go to the supermarket or whatever. It's more for me about, I know these, I can see the farmers. I know they're the ones that are making it. I can talk to them, whatever. And I know that the source is local. And that's the most important part, that the source is local. So if we put together this, I guess maybe we'll call it a meat trust, right? We can use the collective buying power of all our citizens that would like to participate in this meat trust to actually get lower prices on the meat. Because when you buy in bulk, you can get lower prices. Okay, and there's a couple of different ways we can do this. We can offer it out as like trust shares in the trust, okay? Or we can get people to sign up for the trust and say, okay, here's what we're going to want, and here's how much we want to get, and here's the amount that we have willing to put to the side to actually purchase it. Okay, and then that money can be used to go out and buy the meat. Let's say we do it once a year, right? Like some people, some families, you guys have deep freezers, and you might buy a half a cow, right? Or you might buy a quarter pig, right? So I see people that do this often, and then they eat that for like 3, 6, 12 months or whatever. And I have friends that are hunters and similar stuff, So you might be eating the venison all the way till next Thanksgiving. Probably not, because venison is delicious, but you know what I'm saying. So with that being said, it's that type of idea that is not only practicable, it's implementable. We can really do that. We can really lower the prices for meat, which is one of the most expensive items that is a necessity to us as a city, as a populace, every single day. Why are we not talking about that? And it helps the local economy. It helps stimulate local farms and keep them in business and keep them going. We can even do the same thing for milk. I'm not a big milk fan, but we could do the same thing for milk. Now, I don't know how we would get into the vegetable situation, because that's way more complicated and that's way more diverse. I'd like to stay out of that. But we could really do beef and poultry. We can definitely do beef and poultry, and we can do a trust for the city to do that. But that's too much like real sense, because they want things like guaranteed basic income, which doesn't even go to everybody, which is supposed to be universal basic income, but we can't talk about that, right? Drop a like button, hit the like button, hit the share. I see more people watching than have liked. And in the comments, take 2 seconds, drop an American flag emoji so you can let the algorithm know that you're watching and that you like the content, okay? So these are the important conversations that we need to have. What are real solutions that are actually implementable? And this meat trust is one of them. And all of this collectivism and stuff like that, when it comes to socialism and communism and stuff like that, is all the rage right now, except practical collectivism, as in practical collective investing, is not happening. It's not being promoted. It's not being promoted, because what we need to do is we need to be focusing our buying power as citizens, and our government doesn't even have that on its radar. It's like, oh, well, we're just going to charge you more taxes so we can give you back more money that we stole from you anyway. What? Don't give the money back. Just don't steal it to begin with. Why are you taking our money to begin with? Right? Like, how is that not part of the conversation? So all of the things that I'm proposing are going to lessen the impact on our actual citizens and improve the quality of life. Like, are you kidding me? Bulk meat buying for the whole city? You don't know how many. First of all, if you guys are from the hood, you might know that one guy when you were little that used to come out and used to sell all the meat. God knows where he got the meat from, but usually would go out to a farm somewhere not too far and then bring the meat back into the city and then sell the meat. Okay, they don't do that so much nowadays, but they used to do that a long time ago. I guess not even that long ago. I'm not that old. I don't know why I said it like that. But that's something that would be done. Okay? Or hunters that sell their meat, which you're not supposed to do that in New York State, blah, 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 blah. But this is serious. Serious solutions. We have serious situations, so we need serious solutions. I'm posing real, serious, tangible, fiscally responsible solutions. And that is one of them. Because everybody is struggling with food prices right now. And the government is doing nothing, but they want to sit here and they want to get out there and they want to complain about, oh, the SNAP is being canceled. It's because of the Democrats. The Democrats are the reason why SNAP is being held up, because they're keeping the government shut down because they care more about illegal aliens than they care about you as a citizen. Then I looked at some of the numbers of the amount of illegal aliens that are getting SNAP benefits. And according to some of the numbers, those numbers are rivaling actual citizens. Make it make sense to me. You understand? But can we have that real conversation? No, because they don't want you to have that real conversation. Because whenever we start having real conversations, they want to shut it down. Whenever we come up with real solutions, they want to shut it down. And I'm completely anti-communist and completely anti-socialist, but I do believe in collective buying power. You know, like they've got unions, they call it collective bargaining power. If we could focus our citizens and say, here we are, let's all buy a whole bunch of cows and have them slaughtered and processed, we can have a lot more affordable beef in our city because we have the farms that are right here in our county. Are you serious? Like a lot of these smaller farms too, they're struggling. So if we can support local business, let me tell you this is important. This is why I'm about a hyper local focus. People are like, oh, the federal government, and you should, what are your thoughts on this and that and the third? Local, that's my thoughts. Is it affecting me here locally? Okay, where are my biggest impacts locally? If it's not the city or the state, it probably doesn't involve me too much. Okay, although I do believe that the federal government should be shrunk until an inch of its existence. I believe that the federal government should be slashed like 85%. It does way too much, doesn't give us enough, and spends way more of our tax money than it should. And that money should be able to stay in your pockets because you can spend your money better than the government can. That also includes the state government as well. I think that they do way too much, and it's not a think, it's an absolutely no. I know that the state government does way too much, especially with your tax money, okay? Because they don't care about you. You don't matter to them, but you matter to me. And that's why we are here. That's why we are having those real conversations. Drop a comment, drop a like, hit the retweet or hit the share. Get this message out there. So now this is one real solution. Another solution, that another thing that you hear them talk about is the housing. Oh, the housing is expensive. It's hurting people. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm not seeing any real solutions. Then they got Mondani in New York City. I know this isn't where I live, but this is stupid stuff that they say here too. Talking about, oh, we're going to do a rent freeze. You're going to do a rent freeze? Why are we not? The focus should be getting people into home ownership. Are you serious? Why is that not the focus? Why is that not the focus? Why are we not promoting a rent-to-own program? Hello. Where's the city of Rochester's rent-to-own program? It doesn't exist. Well, it kind of does. They got the, what do you call that? The build-to-block thing that the mayor did. But that's a whole kerfuffle unto itself. But that, again, it goes to show you, again, this is really a city council problem, less of the mayor. At least the mayor tried to act like he was looking to do something, even though all of those houses cost $1 bazillion. You know, those houses cost like $250,000 to $500,000 to build. You understand what I'm saying? Way more expensive than it's worth. Not 250, excuse me. 500. Most of them are like $500,000. Some of them that are developments are like 250 to 350 in per little unit, not even houses. So that's a whole separate conversation. Like, we're not being real. Then they're talking about they're going to redo the Cadillac Hotel, and I believe it's something like $500,000 a unit it's going to cost them. The Cadillac Hotel, and they're going to put artists in there? Like, are we really focusing on what needs to be done in our city? Like, that sounds crazy to me. Why do artists need discount apartments? Who is an artist? Go get a real job. And I'm not saying go get a real job like being an artist isn't a real job, but being an artist is not a real job unless it's a real job. And then you're getting paid a ton of money for it. Like the whole concept, everybody knows the starving artist concept, because you need to go get a real job, you know? And it's not saying that an artist shouldn't be able to do art, but not everybody is a good enough artist. Definitely not enough to fill up a whole building with artists. Are you stupid? Who's stupid? If the artists were that good, they'd be able to get, somebody to commission their work or a patron. Hello? Like, is this thing on tap? Like, where is the sense in this? This is our money. Like, how are they spending it on that when we need to be getting people into home ownership? When we got more rentals in this city than we've ever had in life, when they keep turning more and more properties into rentals, but we can't have those serious conversations. Why isn't the city working, again, with collective bargaining power, collective funding power? Why isn't the city putting together a program. Here's another solution that I'm putting out there. Why isn't the city putting together, and let me rephrase that, the city should be putting together a rent-to-own program. All of this money that is coming from the state should be worked into a program that allows people to get into this pool of money that is enabling them to rent to own or to flat out buy a house. Because what they're spending in subsidies for a lot of these affordable housing places is about $500,000 a unit. That's not a joke. And we're talking one-bedroom apartments. We're talking studio apartments. If you look at all of the stuff that's being constructed, it's not family friendly. Most of the stuff is not family friendly. It's all one bedrooms. It's all studios. Like, who's supposed to have a family and live in that? But if you want a family, it's expensive to get a house. So why aren't we focusing on that? And we can, you guys, we can. A real solution like that would be working with our state representatives to promote a rent-to-own program. Okay, where instead of funding all of these $500,000 for one-bedroom units, $500,000 can buy you at least 2 good houses in my city. At least 2 good, and I mean good. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can get a nice house for like $150, a nice house, but you can get a real good house for like 200,000. Like, I mean, something real serious. So if we're spending that much money out of our taxpayer money anyway, why can't that be put in a fund so that people can rent to own where they're already living? Hello, am I making sense to y'all? Let me know in the comments. Drop a comment. Tell me I'm making some sense. Okay, because I guarantee you it makes dollars. And right now what they're doing, it doesn't make any sense. So it definitely isn't making any dollars. But what's happening is that money is being used to be funneled to all of these different companies so that they make more money while the people suffer and are put essentially into these little ticky-tacky boxes that they'll never be able to get out of. That's what they're doing. You know, they say that welfare is dependency and stuff like that. What do you think that low-cost housing is, or affordable housing, which is all ridiculous because all of those words are lies. It's all income-based. And then they're making you give the majority of your income for your rent. If you got to pay like 40 to 50% of your rent is, 40 to 50% of the money that you make is your rent, how do you have any money to live? How do you have any money to live? Like, that's ridiculous. Even 30 to 35% on your housing is expensive because you still got insurance, you still got car payments, you got school, you got food, you got, Lord knows, all the credit card debt and loan debt that Americans have right now, especially in New York State. New York State is one of the highest overcapitalized. Is that, am I saying that right? No. Highest in debt and defaulted states in the country as far as their individual people are. But can we have that serious conversation? Then people's credit scores are tore up, largely because they didn't know what credit scores were when they were little and growing up. So why aren't we figuring out a way to work around that for them? There are many people that are out there that are working homeless right now that are actually in hotels and stuff like that because they're not able to get a home or to rent a place because their credit scores aren't strong enough. I was talking to a guy the other day when I was out campaigning. The guy's telling me, he's like, man, listen, I work a full-time job, and because of my credit score, I can't get a house. He said, I work 40 hours a week. He's like, I'm spending all of this money. I forget how much they're charging him at the hotel that he's staying at, but it's expensive. It's like, it was like $200-300 a night or something like that. Like not a night, but like over a couple of days and stuff like that. I forget exactly what he was saying. I don't want to state what he said, but it was expensive. I know I was taken aback because of how exactly expensive it was. And I'm like, well, that doesn't sound right. Well, but again, it's because credit scores, you know? So, but a lot of people, especially urbanites, didn't know what credit scores were. A lot of y'all out there listening right now, you might have had the electric or the gas in your name growing up. You might have had your parents had a credit card in your name growing up. You might still have that T-Mobile bill in your name on your credit report, messing up your credit, and you never had T-Mobile yourself. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. So, but these are the conversations that we need to be having that are not being had. Then people like city council got the audacity to talk about, oh, well, we need to talk about what's going on with the homelessness. Y'all put tens of millions of dollars to homelessness every year, and every year there are more homeless people. Clearly, either the money isn't being spent wisely, or the things that you're funding are being ineffectual, or the money's getting stolen. It's only one of the three. Okay, because whatever you're doing, it's not working, and that's our taxpayer money, and you keep throwing it out there. And here I am offering a whole solution, a rent to own program, okay, for people that have been in their apartments or been in their homes for an extended period of time. And we can work that out, because when we have that as a guideline, we can actually start a conversation of how that might look functionally. You know what I'm saying? But these people don't want real solutions. I want to present real solutions that are tangible, fiscally responsible, and implementable. It's real simple. That's what our government is supposed to be about. Okay? But right now they're not. And they're willing to do whatever they can to make it more difficult and more expensive on you, while they make you more dependent on them. Because it's all about dependency. The government wants you to be dependent on the government. Because imagine and perish the thought that you could live independently of the government and actually not have to be bothered by them. You know, this is serious. And we need to have these conversations. So hit the like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. I see more people watching than are liking. Okay, so hit the like, drop an American flag in the comments, help the comments get out to more people by clicking American flag, and that kicks the algorithm. Okay, so we're having important real conversations with real solutions. That's what I'm about. I'm about real practical solutions. I also believe, again, going back to the food issue and the meat trust, okay, which I think is the most fantastic idea, we can also promote victory gardens here in the city. If you don't know what a victory garden is, essentially it was a program during World War II where they promoted people to grow their own food at home, because it was very difficult at that time, because so many people were out of the labor force and were over there dying and getting killed up in the war, you know, and fighting the war. So families would grow food at their own home. So if you put the promoting growing food at your own home and local victory gardens, okay, and you do the meat trust, we're really starting to cook with food, real food. You know, we really are saving some real money. You know, we put some money towards those type of programs, and we do education, a gardening education class. You know, they spend a lot of money on these ridiculous. They just gave like $1 million to these gardening people, which is absolutely obscene. Somebody needs a behind whooping. Where's my belt? Let me take my belt off, because that was crazy. You know, and they just operate like community gardens. We don't need no $1 million for no community gardens. Ain't all them community gardens in the world when everybody volunteers for a community garden. Don't play in my face. Okay, that was a money grab, stealing taxpayer money. But if we did like gardening training programs and promoted that type of stuff here, and we could actually work on using some of that money to, well, you know, help buy fertilizer, buy chicken wire and other things that people might need to do those type of things that might be interested in doing it, we can start having people have lower grocery bills. You know, we can start having people really being able to become more self-reliant. But that might be too much like right. I also have another policy proposition I'll leave you guys with as we get ready to close, and that's 2 chickens for every household. I believe we should have a training course where everybody can raise 2 chickens, gets 2 chickens after they go through the training course of how to raise chickens, and then everybody gets eggs. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody gets eggs. And this is everybody that wants it. You know, you got to go through the training course to actually get the chickens. Okay. And if they decide, people say, well, what if they decide to eat the chickens? If they decide to eat the chickens, that's their own prerogative. Okay. We gave you the chickens. You ate the chickens. That's on you. Now you ain't got no eggs, right? Like they say, why would you kill the goose that lays the golden eggs, right? Like that's a whole nother story. But if the point is to get the eggs and you want to kill the chicken to eat the chicken, that's your prerogative. But if we don't start making people more self-sufficient and more able to rely on their own self than to have to be reliant on government, we're not doing justice. We're not doing justice at all. And with all the money that keeps flowing out there, we really probably could put together a project here on the city level for them to do stuff like small enclosed gardens, like greenhouses or stuff like that in different people's yards. Like you want to subsidize something like that, and then just set up a program for it. You got a program for everything else. But again, this is a real solution, something that would have real results. That's what I got for you guys today. Remember to hit the like and share button and get this message out there. And if you're listening to us on the radio, thank you for tuning in to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. Remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. Y'all be blessed and be well. All right, you guys. So we're about to get out here, but here's my pitch to you. Get active locally wherever you are. I see my tie is kind of off now. Somebody could have said something in the comments. But get active locally where you are, okay? Because if we want to see a change, we have to be the change. Nobody's going to make a change except for us. If we see stuff isn't right, we have to be the ones to do something about it. So I encourage you guys, okay? Get active. Maybe it's not running for office. Maybe it's just helping a local candidate. Maybe it's just going to some school board meetings and speaking up, or going to city council and start participating there. Or maybe your planning board or fire district or whatever. But we have to have more citizens get involved, because until we get more involved, we're not going to see the change that we want. Okay? You guys, I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Share this out with all your friends. Okay. And you can always share the link if you're watching online. And if you're on Facebook, I know after a while the streams go away, but you can go to my website, not my website, but my YouTube channel, the Marcus C. Williams channel, and you can actually get all of the videos there. They're all in one podcast area, The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. Okay. And they're all in one playlist. So you can see all of the episodes. But these are real solutions I presented you guys today. So I encourage you to take them into account. I encourage you, if you guys want to donate to the show, there's all the donation links around. You can donate on Cash App, $MW Real, the number 1, or you can do Venmo, which is at Marcus C. Williams. We also have Give, Send, Go as well. So I'll catch you guys later. Remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. Have hope. Go vote. Catch y'all later.